الضيف العزيز القادم علينا من الجمهورية الإسلامية البروفيسور محمد حسن شجاعي فرد، هو أستاذ في جامعة العلم والصناعة وعميد كلية صناعة السيارات في طهران. حصل على شهادة الدكتوراه في فرع الميكانيك من جامعة برمنغهام البريطانية، وحصل على جوائز علمية عديدة، منها أفضل أستاذ جامعي وأفضل كاتب مقال علمي في إيران، وكتب بعض الكتب في المجال الإسلامي، منها كتاب الدكتور والشيخ، وكتاب سيدتنا سكينة بنت علي بن أبي طالب عليهما السلام، وغيرها من الكتب والمقالات الدينية الأخرى. الكلمة ستكون بعنوان نبي الرحمة والشباب. استقبلوا جناب البروفيسور بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. أنا أحب أن أكلم باللغة العربية، ولكن لغتي ضعيفة ويقولون أن أكلم باللغة الإنجليزية. مع الأسف أنا أحب هذا اللغة وعلمت هذا اللغة العربية بنفسي، مو بالمدرسة أو مكتبة أو كذا وكذا، ولكن يقولون أن لازم أن يكون باللغة الإنجليزية، وأنا أكلم بهذا اللغة لأنني درست في هذا اللغة في إنجلترا، وهو أبسط لي أن أكلم بهذا اللغة. عفوا من أول البرنامج. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My speech is about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his compassion and love with the youth. First of all, I should say that the Prophet Muhammad, salawatullah salam alayhi, he was compassion and love all level of the society, especially the ladies. And I will back to that sometimes to see how the thing is. But my speech is about youth. So if I don't back to other people and other level of human being, you shouldn't think that it is, for example, something that Prophet didn't care about this part of people or the other part. My subject, because to me is more important, is the Prophet Muhammad, Prophet of Islam, the religion of love, compassion, and youth. Since the time is short, so I have to pass some of these slides because there is no time. And in here I show that even God likes the youth, because most of the prophet, they started or be prophet in the age of between or teenage or between 20 to 30 and maximum 40. There is a hadith which is narrated by Sunnis brothers, which says, Prophet Muhammad stated this hadith, I recommended you, he said to his companion, good young people, because their heart are soft. Allah sent me with honesty and tolerance. Young people supported me, but old people opposed me. Then he read the following verses of Surah Al-Hadid, that long ages passed over them, and their heart never, and the true heart, for many among them are rebellious. This is Surah Al-Hadid. And if we back to the Prophet Muhammad, he was a commander to change the mindset of the pagans of Arab in that time, to do away with waylay practice, oppressive behavior, corrupted attitude, and to embrace Islam as their comprehensive way of life. It's not only to accept some part of that, the whole part of Islam together. And if we back to this message of the Prophet, that his target audience was to speak and revolve around the use of the time, means the first people who accepted, most of them, if we don't say all of them, they were youth. And the different between Prophet leadership was that an important majority of followers were at his time was the new Muslim youth, which all of you are aware of that. As an example, look at the time which the ladies and the daughters been engraving them while they were alive because they are girls. At the same time, the Prophet Muhammad, what he used to do with his dear daughter Fatima, salamullah alayha, on several occasions. This hadith is from Sunnis brothers, not from Shia. On several occasions when Fatima entered room where the Prophet was, he would rush over to her by her hands, kiss her, and offer his seat to Fatima. Fatima was also the same to the others. Means Prophet Muhammad, by all of his dignity which he has, he used to stood up in front of Fatima and kiss her and give his place to Fatima to sit. This is his compassion with the other people, especially the ladies and the youth ladies like Fatima salamullah alayha. As much as Prophet Muhammad kept affection and joyful relation with the youth, he continuously molded them to be the leader of the future. This is very important point. He tried to make the youth as a leader of the future. Do we working like this? It's not the word of Imam Ali alayhi salam to educate your children, your son, your girls for the future. The Prophet used to do it. Look at one of his companions, if you like, Ali ibn Abi Talib. He became Muslim when he was 10 years old. He was commander of Badr when he was 25. And he was beside Hamza, which was 50 at the same time. And become the commander of Uhud, commander of Khaybar, and others. His compassion with Ammar ibn Yasir. When the enemies of Islam killed Sumayya and Yasir, they come to Ammar and beated him a lot, and they say to hearing some word against Prophet. And finally he said, because they were killing him. And when they heard this word, they went, all right, they say, we've done our job. The Prophet came to him and saw that his head is down because of the word which he has said. Prophet put his hand on his hair and took his head up and said, Irfa' ra'sak, ya Ammar. Irfa' ra'sak. I know what is in your heart. Forget about what you said in your tongue. If it was me, I would beat him even. But the Prophet absorbed the heart of Ammar somehow, that when he was about 80 years old, he was beside Imam Ali in the Safain. This is the effect of this compassion with the youth. Bilal Habashi, he was less than 25. He was the slave of Umayyah ibn Khalaf, right? But what happened? He came this side. He was a black from Ethiopia, but Prophet said he is the best muazzin. They said, look, Oh, Prophet, he couldn't pronounce Shin. He said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Prophet said, his sin is better than your Shin. I prefer that one. He was young. And he was the first muazzin of Islam. Zubair ibn Awam, when he accepted the Islam, he was 15 years old. But what happened that Zubair is changed is because of his son. The Imam Ali said, as far as he hadn't got Abdullah, everything was okay. Whenever Abdullah grown up, everything is changed. And if we back to Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah, he was young, but Prophet sent him as an advertiser, a muballigh to Yemen, to advertise the Islam. Sa'd ibn Waqqas, he was young, but he became commander which break down the empire of Iran in his time. Why? He was after Prophet this war, but he grown up in the culture of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why he were able to do this sort of actions. Anas ibn Malik, this guy, a small one, he was children 10 to 12 years old first, and then become as a person who working in the house of Prophet. Look at his word. He later on become one of best narrator in Islam, especially for Sunni's brother. He said the Prophet never once uttered a word. Look at him. He was working always in his house. A word of disgrace upon him, neither any other member of youth of the society. This is a witness of a man who was always with the Prophet. Most of the time he was with him. Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, he was youth. He went and as a man who debated with the king of Habash and can persuaded him to accept the new and said, there is no difference except the very narrow line between what the Christianity said and what the Islam said. And rejected the representative of Abu Sufyan. Utab ibn Usayd, he was after conquering of Mecca, he was governor of Mecca. All the old men come to Prophet. Look, he is very young. He is going to rule on Quraysh. How you will leave him? He said, I know what to do. He is the best of the rest. And become a good governor over there. Usama ibn Zayd, 18 years old, putting as a commander of Tabuk. And ordering that people like Abu Bakr, Omar, Usman, and other, Radiallahu anhum, to be the followers of Zayd, Usama ibn Zayd. And you go ahead, Sa'd ibn Zayd, Mus'ab ibn Umair. My God, who is, I think the most of you should know especially those who are living in here, in this European country, should know this man better. He was from very wealthy family. And they put a condition, if you want to be Muslim, go ahead. There is no anything for you. But if you don't, we will give you the best house, best wife, best. He said, I accepted Islam. I am going to Prophet Muhammad, and I don't want nothing of this thing which you consider it as wealth or life. History said that even their parents, look at how they've been misguided. They took all the clothes of Mus'ab ibn Umair. All the clothes. He was bare when he went to the house of youth companion. And Prophet said, immediately cover the Mus'ab. And they covered with some old clothes. But he became a commander for Medina. Prophet Sallallahu in the Mina, close to Jamara Aqaba, talked to some of people of Yasrib. They accepted Islam, and then after 2 years, they came and said, we are a good majority now. If you send some commander for us, they sent Mus'ab ibn Umair. Mus'ab went there, and in 2 years' time, he prepares the Medina to accept Prophet, to immigrate there and rule on them. Look at the job of this man, how strong he was. And Prophet put 2 conditions. One of them is the Aus and Khadraj should be in peace. Mus'ab went to them and by negotiation convey the Prophet Muhammad messages, and they persuaded to be in peace without any war afterward. And then the Prophet Muhammad immigrated to Medina, Yasrib, after named Medina, and the Hukuma Islami started from that time. And this is thing which definitely belonged to Mus'ab ibn Umair, only not anybody else. I think something that, let's go ahead because my time is going to be finished. These people which I mentioned here, Ali, Ja'far ibn Abi Talib and other, all they working there, the Prophet said the reason which I'm working that is their heart are soft. The heart of youth are softer. So accept the truth easily. And if we back to important hadith for youth, Prophet said, oh, young people, your heart tend to accept the good and the truth more. Then make good use of this period. Learn what is good and right and practice them. Young people gathered around me, but mujahideen for the case of Islam. Means the old man didn't come, the youth come. But the youth can be considered as 2 points. First, treat. Second, opportunity. We should look to them as an opportunity, that they have this ability to working for the sake of Islam. Even sometimes joked with them. For example, once he came to saw that Ali ibn Abi Talib and Ammar, they lied on the ground and the clothes of Ali is dusty. He said, كيف يا أبو تراب? And the Abu Turab remained on him. And Ali alayhi salam said, I like this word best than all the other things which people called me. Abu Turab. And no time to go. I want to go to the conclusion to see more about it. First, we can conclude that Prophet Muhammad, it's not to say, all right, Prophet Muhammad done this, God bless him, peace be upon him. We should learn to do the same with our youth, especially in these countries. Otherwise, if you say, all right, he done that, we will go on our way. Prophet Muhammad were compassionate with everybody, especially youth. So we should be the same. He relied on the youth much more than olds. I'm very happy that I saw in here, I haven't seen in other places, unfortunately, that Mr. Hakim Alahi, they gave all the responsibility to the youth in here. I haven't seen any old men around. Most of people, you would see that most of them are youth and can control everything by their power and their actually activity which they have. He used and give important authority to the youth with the older complain. Most of the time, the older people complain, why you should give this, put this one as a governor, this one as a commander, and so on. So, Prophet didn't listen to this thing. He said, these people which I nominated for this are the best. And he respects you because consider them as the future leader. All right, if the Prophet done like this, I want to ask the youth in here and the parent in here, do you think that sometimes your son, your daughter, maybe be a member of parliament in the Sweden? Can they be a minister in Sweden? can be prime minister, never ever come to your mind. I'll give one example and you think about that. There was a merchant man, his name was Ahmad Qumi, Iranian. 500 years ago, he moved from Iran to Thailand for trade, not for advertising Islam, not to have a better living and so on and so. But in that time, all the merchant and tajer following the Prophet Muhammad's hadith that al-fiqh summa tjar. So what he done? He first learned the fiqh. Anybody in Iran was like that. In most of Muslim countries like this. He first learned this one, and then went there. He saw that people looking to the stone and considered that as God. He started to convert them to Islam. And most of them became Muslim, and he went 500 go. Imagine, no internet, no television, no. By his tongue and his word, he became Prime Minister of Thailand, Ahmad Qumi. And if you go to the Bangkok, I have seen the street. There is a big street under his name. But they wrote Ahmad Qumi. Some people may think that it's a Thai word, but it is Ahmad Qumi. And his son was there and so and so. So you should see that sometime your son, your daughter should be member of parliament, should be councillor of at least a city. If it is not, means the Muslim in here are loser. And going the rest, most first Muslim were used, of course, most of his governor and commander, he recommended to use their condition, because it is very important to know this point, that this condition will be wasted if you don't use this opportunity. If you use it as an opportunity, everything is all right. And I gave example of 500 years ago, and it was a lot of other examples which you can go to that. But we should learn from this sort of majlis that if we are here, I said this word in the night of birthday of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to do not use to live in this country. Don't try to live, try to be. Try to be. What is different? Thousands of merchants went to Thailand, but they went for living. But Ahmad Qumi went to being, and he is still there. There are a lot of merchants which nowadays are the best merchant of Thailand, but there is no name in there. Why? Because they are living. And according to Quran, in 2 continuous verses, what says? When he said, Enaban wa ghasban wa zaytunan wa nakhla wa and said, Mata'an lakum wa la'an'amakum. Means as far as you're living, there is no difference between you and your donkey. If we going, is that Big Bang is happen, then we will understand who were man, who were donkey. As far as we working in this world, we should find the way of being under the tarbiyah and education of Prophet Muhammad and his Ahlul Bayt. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.